What's going on, guys? This is Kaishiro. Welcome back. So for our video today, we're going to cover another Uncrowned Kings local metagame report that will cover tournament reports from June 19 to June 25. So a week-long tournament report and decklist review on this video that covers tournaments from all over the Philippines and Indonesia. So let's jump right into it. At first, we have Tabletop Gapo tournament at Yu-Gi-Oh! Community Zambales. Shoutouts to our Zambales friends out there. We have a champion decklist here of Martin Alcantara, Crystal Beast. Pretty standard decklist of Crystal Beast, yet effective since he got champion. Almost no hand traps on the main deck, right? And then moving on, we have Dino from Harvey Obispo. Maxi is on the side deck. Pretty bold from him. He didn't want to rely on Maxi when going second. Instead, he opted to play Droll and Lockbird. And then moving on, we have Joshua Coriano, our friend from Decklist in Zambales. He played Matmech. So yeah, pretty standard decklist of Matmech with triple Small World and triple Signet Mining. And then he played Signet Conflict and Microcoder on the side deck rather. And then two Solemn Scolding, triple Cosmic Cyclone because they have Runic on their locals, I assume. So, disclaimer, this is the final hurrah of many players and decks right now because we have recently concluded our ban list in the OCG. So, this is the final week of their tournament regulation using the April ban list. So we have Renz Gisagan here from Raven Cup 2023. Duelist Assemble. We have Naturia Runic. So he played double Nibiru on the main deck and then one Gizmek Orochi and then two Droll. Interesting that he didn't play Ash Blossom. I guess he is not that scared against Maxi. He wants to have better going second cards like Nibiru and Droll on his deck, and even going the length of playing evenly match on the main deck. Quite interesting from Renz. And then moving on, we have another Ravens Cup tournament. We have Friedrich Franz Ferrer, second place, Matmech. So standard decklist as well. He opted to play main deck Ghost Bell. I guess this is understandable because Ghost Bell can stop Super Factorial. So he can play the cross out as a cross out target for Ghost Bell. And then he played Red Reboot on the main deck. Understandable as well because in Philippines there's a lot of trap decks and control decks on our local metagame scene. So this makes very sensible on the main deck. And then moving on, we have Arcanium Hobbies tournament. We have another Super Heavy Samurai ORCUST. It seems like every week this guy is tapping on Indonesia, no? With his Super Heavy Samurai ORCUST. I'm interested on how he will cope from the ban list because certain Super Heavy Samurai cards have been heated on the ban list. So yeah, it's pretty interesting to expect great things from him despite the ban list. And then next we have second place Rescue Ace from GUSTI. I really like the fact that he played Super Poly on the Rescue Ace. I guess Super Poly on Rescue Ace is very underrated. It can catch a lot of meta decks off guard on the current format, like Trillaments. You can go into something like Starving Venom or Dragostapelia. And even against Matmech, no? You can use Super Poly to wipe their board. Very functional card right now in the format. And then moving on, we have Labyrinth here. So he didn't still play the transaction rollback. Instead, he played more virus cards like the very unpopular card right now on the TCG, the Eradicator Epidemic virus card, because it became a trend on the German nationals, I guess, that single-handedly won that tournament using the Labyrinth as well, using the Eradicator, because the Kashtira player against Dingaboy on the finals only got spell cards mostly on his hand. So yeah, it got some reactions from the TCG mass. And then moving on, we have, yeah, that's much about it. And then moving on, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Madagascar Gathering local tournament. So at first place, we have Shadal. Wow, we don't see Shadal top nowadays, no? You can rarely see Shadal top on tournaments unlike before. And interesting as well that it is not the 60 card Shadal grass version. Only 42 card, I assume. No Ash Blossom on the main deck. Instead, it is on side deck. He opted to play Veiler on the main deck instead. Very wise choice from Alan. And then one Solemn Warning. Solemn Warning is very underrated right now for me on the format. It can really devastate some meta decks on the format, like Purely and Branded. And then moving on, we have Thunder Dragon. Yeah, Thunder Dragon with Bestial and some Kashtera engine. Really spicy. No, two copies only of Ash Blossom on the main deck. And then one Evenly Match. And then two Imperm. Two Allure only. And one Monster Reborn. Very interesting choices from Rihanna. Rokoto no Naivo. And then Massive Restrict on the side deck. Wow, this is pretty spicy. I guess this person opted to play this card so that Thunder Dragon Colossus won't get tributed by Kaiju Monsters and Kurikara or other cards like that can tribute the monsters. Very interesting choice from Rihanna. And then to Lancea, I also like this one because Lancea covers a lot of ground against Rescue Ace. And then also good against playing against Evenly Match. Very good choice. But Decklist from Rihanna. And then moving on, we have Makassar Duelist Community from Indonesia. At first place, we have Fairy Agent. We have Fairy Agent here from Zul. And then this decklist is pretty normal or standard. You opted to play one Solemn Judgment on the main deck. Understandable because you want to protect your board of Apollousa and Barone on your disposal. And then side deck Droll and Lockbird because he doesn't have that much space on the main deck rather. So he opted to play Droll on the side deck only. And then moving on, we have Alishar Manadium. Standard decklist opted to main deck Nibiru because his locals are pretty much combo oriented. As we can see, we have Agent Fairy on his locals. So Nibiru on main deck is very practical. And then triple anti-spell fragrance, quite underrated one as well. It can stop a lot of board breaking cards like Dark Ruler No More and other spell cards, especially Purely and Runic. They can struggle against anti-spell fragrance. And then third, we have Dragon Link. I'm really excited that Dragon Link can still top after all these years. Dragon Link is still relevant. I'm also planning to play the deck on the future formats. And this is a good reference for me. But this is quite a standard decklist of Dragon Link. I like the fact that he played Solemn Strike on the side deck because Solemn Strike is really good against a lot of decks right now in the format. Even Vanquish Hole struggles against Solemn Strike. And Rescue Ace, of course, because you can Solemn Strike the Turbulence. Very nice as well from Ian. And then moving on, we have Headquarter, Hobbies, and Card Games. At first place, we have Vanquish Hole. Speaking of Vanquish Hole, he played Vijaya Salim played Revo Synchron on the main deck. He really want to play more explosive on Vanquish Hole. I'm not too sure about that approach on Vanquish Hole, to be honest, because I rather see Vanquish Hole as a control to mid-range type of deck that plays like Sky Striker or even Dragon Maid to some extent. Goal of maintaining the tempo of the game into their favor. So I'm not too sure about Vanquishol being explosive, but I guess it works for him since he won first place. And then moving on, we have Tier Elements. The evergreen Tier Elements. I'm really tired of seeing Tier Elements, to be honest. It's been a year since Tier Elements has been dominating the format. For me, even after the ban list, Tier Elements is still the second best deck on the format, just behind Rescue Ace. So yeah, I'm really longing for a day that we won't see Tier Elements on the metagame. And then third place, this is the Spice one, Nemrelia. I have a lot of friends in the Philippines that plays this deck, and I'm shocked when I face this deck on one of my tournaments because it is really interesting, and it can catch a lot of people off guard. And it can also play multiple hand traps like Shifter, Nibiru, Ash Blossom on the main deck, and then going the length of playing There Can Be Only One and Summon Limit. It's quite a flexible deck, to be honest. And then moving on, we have our Kaidulis Neo League tournament. At first place, I have my Burning Abyss deck profile, Champion Burning Abyss deck profile. This is not your standard BA list that is trap based or from TCG or the hand trap version of Burning Abyss. This is the newly innovated Burning Abyss that plays the transaction rollback and the other milling cards. It has the goal of sending the cards or pitching the cards to the graveyard, like this Ghost Meets Girl Mayakashi card, so that you can use transaction rollback to copy its effect by bypassing the cost of this card of zombie and synchro monsters. So you can use this card to prevent your opponent from special summoning monsters on their turn. So it's pretty interesting and toxic, to be honest, because it can really win the game from there, because you have even Skarm on the graveyard that can add Tour Guide later on. So you have Tour Guide later that can go into Borel Sword, and then you can OTK from there. So it's really a nice deck for me. And then next we have Sean with Metabit. It plays the final battle of Golgonda, if I'm correct, that can pitch this Albion Dragon, White Dragon, from the extra deck on the graveyard when battling monster is destroyed. Nice decklist from Sean. And then played Prohibition as well. Really good card to play around board wipe cards on the format. And then moving on, we have Aroma Card Shop. Shoutouts to Jose, the owner of this shop. At first place, we have Matmec, I assume. Yeah, at first place, we have Matmec. So, played Solemn Scolding on the main deck. Really interesting choice. And then, 2 Sakitama and 2 Aratama. I guess that's the good and correct ratio of playing those cards. And no Signet Mining on the main deck. Interesting as well. Instead, he opted to play more hand traps like Veiler and DD Crow. And then moving on, we have Thunder Dragon Bestial. 43 card main deck, quite extensive. Played Shifter as well, very nice card on the format. It can shut down purely. It can shut down Tier Elements, even branded at some extent. So it's really nice to have Shifter on your main deck. And then Dengo Sega, really interesting. He said that there's a Unchained Labyrinth player dominating their local scene. So I guess this is very sensible on his main deck, so that you can set cards from the Labyrinth player. And then moving on, we have Vanquishol with Dogmatica Fleur-de-Lis on the main deck. Really spicy. And then Dogmatica Punishment as well with Nadir Servant. Really interesting. This is a quite interesting decklist from Aroma Card Shop. And then moving on, we have, I guess this is a Tri Brigade. Yeah, Sprite Brigade. Quite standard decklist of Sprite Brigade. Opted to play Veiler. Very good card right now in the format. It can stop Rescue Ace if they don't go into the route of playing Proxy F Magician into Madragon Fusion. So that's much about it. And then moving on, we have Paducah weekly tournament. We have another Matmech here at first place. This time no small world, no? So with Code Talker engine with Signet Conflict, this deck has stronger going first on the regular basis. And then 2 Droplet, I also like this one because Droplet is really good against Matmech matchups and other matchups like Tearlaments and other combo decks like Super Heavy Samurai. So really good as well. And then Royal Decree on the side deck, it can stop Labyrinth as well and other Floodgate decks like Runic. Really nice. And then moving on, we have Rescue Ace with Fire Barrier Statue. Interesting. Very wise choice from him. It can stun a lot of decks right now on the format. And then 2 Airlifter also. I'm not too sure about that. But I also agree in this ratio of 2 Impulse because I only play 2 Impulse on my Rescue Ace for some reason. And then 2 Field Spell. That's interesting as well because normally Field Spell is only at 1, but he opted to play 2. And then side deck Macrocosmos. Really interesting as well, but it can be very effective against many meta decks like Purely and Super Heavy Samurai and Tearlaments. And then Dark Hole as well. Really interesting from this guy. And then we have Mekanko here with Kaiser Colosseum and Smoke Grenade. Farewell to Smoke Grenade because it got jailed from the ban list. So we won't see this card for a very long time, I guess, because this is a very cancerous card, to be honest. So Mekanko got a little weaker if they're playing the Smoke Grenade. That sums up about Paducah. And then we have Order of the Duelist in Albay tournament. We have first place Traptrix here with Parallel Exceed and 1 Prosperity. This guy, I guess he predicted that Prosperity will go into 1. So he played Prosperity at 1 also. I also predicted that on my end because I hesitated on buying the second copy of Prosperity because I really thought that Konami will follow the Master Duel ban list, like limiting to 1 the Prosperity. So yeah, I'm lucky that I guessed that correctly. So I won't have wasted money on the second copy of Prosperity. And then moving on, we have Exosister with Called by the Grave on the main deck. Interesting because this card is very good on Exosister because you can play around Ash Blossom. And then 2 Returnia and 2 Bodies. That's rather interesting. And then 3 Imperm. Okay, quite standard with Bestials on the main deck. That's rather interesting and spicy, but it's good against Matmech, I guess. And then we have Sword Soul here. The Sword Soul deck will never get old, I guess. We can definitely see Sword Soul all the time because this deck can really cater their main deck towards the current metagame. They can just mix and match their hand trap lineup and utility cards lineup to fit in against the meta. And this guy played the Jatu and I don't recall the name of this card. The Yangzing cards. So he has access to Denglong and 7 pillars, I guess, or 9 pillars. I forgot the name. It's been since quite a year or 2 years rather against the Brave Yangzing 10-yi format of Adventurer. And then moving on, we have Duelist Seribu Sungay card game community. At first place, we have Burning Abyss Phantom Knights. So quite standard. This is the Ronguminad Turbo of Burning Abyss Phantom Knights. Really toxic one, to be honest, because Ronguminad can single-handedly win games. And then moving on, we have second place Super Heavy Samurai Bestial Synchro. This is very explosive, but we will see how this deck fares after the ban list, with Motorbike getting touch from the ban list, and then the Super Heavy Samurai got a little bit more inconsistent from the ban list. So we will see how this deck fares. And then we have third place Purely. This deck got also hit by it, but I think this deck is still alive because only Sleepy Memory is at 1. So yeah, it is manageable for me. And then yeah, that sums up. And then we have A-Card Weekly Tournament. At first place we have Rescue Ace. We have Droll and Lockbird and Effect Veiler on the main deck. Really nice because it can stun a lot of counter a lot of meta decks on the format. And then he didn't play the Reinforce Trap card. He only played these two, the Contain and I forgot the name. And then he played Pankrataps and Fenrir. Farewell also to Fenrir because it saw the Ban Hammer this time. So yeah, we won't see Fenrir that much because it is very insanely good card, to be honest. I don't know what Konami is thinking by designing this card. It is like a 10 times better version of Pankrataps. I'm glad that it's on the ban list already. And then we have Arif, the IKEA Labyrinth, the furniture Labyrinth. With transaction rollback, this is what I like to see on Labyrinth because players are innovating this card on the Labyrinth. It is insanely good on Labyrinth. It can give new dimensions on the deck. It can make the deck more powerful. It gives you better ceiling and more recursion on the deck. So really nice that he plays transaction rollback. But if I were him, I would play this transaction rollback into 3 because this is such a good card on Labyrinth. And then Waboku, very very interesting. He played Waboku on Labyrinth. We don't see that every day, no? That's really spicy from Arif. And then we have Adam with the Bestial Resonator. I'm not too sure. Oh, this is the newly supported Resonator. So I'm glad that some players innovated on the new structure deck because in our country, there's only a handful of people bought the structure deck. You don't see them buying the structure deck because it has no staples or rather pricey or expensive cards on the deck. But this guy tapped with Resonator. So big props to him from Adam. So yeah. And then moving on, this is the recently concluded ban list. I will have another video talking about these ban list cards here. So yeah. And then moving on, we have Tabletop Gapo Grand Opening Tournament. So shout outs to them. Congrats on having a successful opening tournament. At first place, we have Nicole Santos of Super Heavy Samurai Adamancipator. So this deck got wrecked on the ban list with Black Dragon going into 2 and Motorbike getting hit and Soul Piercer as well. So yeah, I'm really excited on how players will innovate this deck. But I still think that this deck can still be very competitive and really strong as well. It lost only consistency, I guess, but it is still the same deck with that much power to begin with. And then moving on, we have second place Rescue Ace. Quite standard deck list of Rescue Ace. Played Droll on the main deck because yeah, it's really affirmative because there's Super Heavy Samurai on your locals. So you want to play Droll and Lockbird as much as possible. So yeah, quite standard deck list of Rescue Ace. Not too sure about Dark Ruler no more, but it can be very good against heavy combo decks on the format. And then we have Spencer Santilla, our friend as well from Kaido Willis community. Congrats to you. Played triple Dengo Seka on the side deck. I guess they have Runic. Yeah, they have Runic on their locals. And then Labyrinth, I guess. So Dengo Seka makes sense. And then, yeah, quite standard deck is of Kashtira. You have 2 Pathfinder on the main deck. I agree with this one. I guess the third copy is quite a bricky one. Especially if you are playing around Ash Blossom. It can really end the turn of your deck when this card got Ash. And then moving on, we have 4th place Kerwin Lee, another Rescue Ace. So Rescue Ace has been dominating the format of OCG in the Philippines, I guess, because there's a lot of rescue stops recently, and players opted to play this deck because this deck will survive the current ban list from July. So yeah, it's pretty new one on the metagame. So yeah, it's expected that people will turn into this deck to have competitive success. And then we have fifth place purely from Joshua Coriano. We have standard decklist of purely, I guess, with Dark World Engine, and then more hand traps like Imperm and Veiler. He didn't wanna play talents on the main deck. I don't see talents here. And Red Reboot. I suggested him that he should main deck Red Reboot because purely has weak matchups against Floodgate decks for me. And then Rivalry as well, so that he can Kaijud or Kurikarad. Very nice intuition from Joshua. And then Neil Booksit with Dino, Seno Dino, with the Transcend Drake archetype buffing the deck. And then yeah, he played more hand traps on the side deck and one prosperity on the side deck. I also like this fuck from Neil because I think prosperity works very well on going first. So he should side this prosperity into his main deck when going first. And then moving on, we have Cebu Otaku Fest 2023. We have our friend from Kaido Willis again. We have Edison Kurameng with Hero ORCUST. I really didn't know that this deck could function because I don't know this deck, to be honest. I don't know how this functions. But he got second place, so he is really good on this deck. He played ORCUST for a very long time. Knowing him, he's very expert on this deck. So he really knows what he's doing on this deck list. And then, yeah, this side deck is pretty astonishing. There's a lot of fusion monsters that I didn't know. And then played Forbidden Droplet, really good as well on ORCUST and Heroes. And then moving on, we have the champion of that tournament. We have Rika from Matthew Liboon on the Cebu Otaku Fest. We have standard Rika here, I assume. I don't know the name of this pendulum card level 1. And he played Ghost Bell. Really nice as well because Ghost Bell can tackle a lot of meta decks right now in the format. Quite underrated one because there's not much people playing Ghost Bell on the deck. But it really works, to be honest. I have tested it on Edo Pro. It is really great on the current format. And then moving on, we have Final Turn Hobby Shop Bacolod Sunday Tournament. Champion John Alfredo with his Unchained Labyrinth. So yeah, this is the fabled Unchained Labyrinth that's so very much good run on our country. There's a lot of people running this deck and also a lot of people that will try this deck. So yeah, I assume that this deck is quite strong on the format, incorporating the furniture cards of Labyrinth on the Unchained. It really helps the ceiling of the deck go into higher places. And then moving on, we have Rescue Ace from that tournament, the second place from Jacob Monares. This also played Veiler on the main deck. I also agree on this one because Veiler can definitely help you when going second. Because I do think that Rescue Ace going second is not that strong, to be honest. The flow of this deck is going second for me. You don't see that much good going second cards on Rescue Ace aside from the Impulse. So you have to rely on hand traps and board breakers when going second. Like this guy played Nibiru as well. Very good inclusion on main deck when going against combo decks. And then moving on, we have Final Turn Hobby Shop Bacolod Saturday Tournament. We have champion decklist of Lawrence Justiniani, Branded Chimera. He plays this deck for quite some time and he's been tapping a lot since he played this deck. It really shows how powerful the Chimera archetype is by incorporating this deck on Branded. It's really nice to see good and new decks resurging on the format. And then moving on, we have Manadium. From that same tournament, we have Albert Alamo with Manadium. look at those Rayum Heart PSR. It's really costly. And then he played the Gravity Crackdown. I forgot the name of this card, the Counter Trap one. I guess this works from 4 Synchro Monsters. So it helped his going first capability. And also played Bestials. Really good against Matmech and can be extenders as well. Really good inclusion from Albert. And then on his side deck, he played going second cards like Lightning Storm and Dark Ruler No More. Dark Ruler No More is quite popular on the Philippines, but I don't rate this card that much because I don't see this card very good on the format right now. I'm not too sure on the next format, but right now it is quite so-so for me. Not that good, to be honest. And then moving on, we have Backward Bottom Community Duelist Gacha Store CS. At first place, we have Ninja here with Kaiser Colosseum. That's really frustrating to play against. If you're going against this player, this is very naughty from the Ninja player here from Red. So yeah, Ninja is a very good underrated deck for me. We can see a lot of good Ninja players in our Philippines. We have Aldi and Renz that can top tournaments with Ninja. And then moving on, we have Mall Hobby Shop tournament. At first place, we have Vanquishol. So yeah, quite standard deck list of Vanquishol. There can be only one is really good on Vanquishol. Can really stun a lot of decks on the format. And a good card to control the tempo of the game. And then his side deck is pretty linear. Triple copies of Droll, 3 Evenly, 3 Anti-Spell. And then Dimensional Shifter on the side deck. Quite interesting. And then moving on, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Metagame Malang Tournament Report. We have Aldi here. Dinosaur Decklist. 41 card main deck. Quite standard decklist from Aldi. And then he played Pankratops. Really good card against back row Floodgates. But I don't rate Pankratops that much on the current format, to be honest. And then we have Bestial Dragon Maid. Or rather, Bestial Dragon Link with Dragon Maid Engine. Yeah. Dragon Maid still tops with Fikri. Congrats to him. And he played Apple and Tuning. So this deck is very explosive, I guess. And then triple tidying. So it compensates the control manner of the deck. And then we have Pen Magi from Hawin. Quite standard deck list of Pendulum Magician. Very good card as well. On the side deck, we have Apex Miss Valley, Apex Avian. Really good card when going first. You can just Pendulum Summon this card and you have instant Omni Negate on your disposal. Really naughty card on Pendulum decks. And then we have Yuki, Sky Striker, with going second, I guess. Going second approach from Yuki since he plays Pankratops and Change of Heart and Lightning Storm and Evilly Match on the main deck. I don't know how this functions. The Ultimate Blue Eyes Master. I forgot the name of this fusion card. And then this Nova Dragon. Red Archfiend Nova Dragon. I don't know how this works on his extra deck. But he got 4th place. And then moving on, we have Farian's Card Game Merchant Weekly Tournament. We have a Rescue Ace here for Gopal. So quite standard deck list of Rescue Ace. Opted to play 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird on the main deck. Really nice from him. And then 1 Book of Moon. So that you can dodge targeting hand traps like Veiler and Imperm to protect your Turbulence. And then we have second place, runner-up from Vio, Rescue Ace again. So as you can see, Rescue Ace has been topping quite a lot lately because the deck is still cheap right now on the format. I guess this deck will skyrocket in market price over the next few weeks because this will be the new best deck on the format if it's not the best deck in your books right now. But for me, Rescue Ace is the best deck. And then moving on, we have Cebu Otaku Fest third place Decklist from Alexis Precioso. So shoutouts to him, another member of Decklist from Bacolod. So quite standard decklist of Decklist. It is similar to Hiroshi Odate's Decklist in our country, top player in our country. And then on his side deck, he played 2 Dark Kaiju. Understandable because he want to play this card against Purely. And then 2 Ghost Ogre. I'm not too sure about this one, but it's quite good on Super Heavy Samurai and Purely matchups. So yeah, and Runic as well. So yeah, congrats to him. So that sums up our Uncrowned Kings local metagame report. If you have time, you can catch our Facebook page here. Just search this Uncrowned Kings local metagame report on Facebook. You can see daily posts on tournaments all over the Philippines and Indonesia local scene. So thank you for watching this video. If you're not yet subscribed on my YouTube channel, hit the subscription button and hit the notification bell for more updates on our channel. And